We need to stop comparing our investment rate of return to benchmark indexes. So comparison is the enemy of contentment. And what I mean by that is you'll never be happy if you're comparing your own performance against some arbitrary standard that actually is meaningless and has no connection to your individual circumstances. And yet that's what we're all doing when it comes to our financial success. And so in this video, I'd like to help clarify how we measure financial plan performance, because financial planning at its root is all about keeping us away from danger. You might have a financial car wreck in your future and just not know about it. Doing the financial planning process is all about identifying whether you will have a train wreck in your future and how you can avoid that train wreck by changing your actions in the current day. Now, nobody wishes that you'll have a train wreck. We certainly hope that you do the financial planning process and it turns up a perfect level of success and you have tons of wealth and all the financial flexibility you could ever dream of. But for most of us, that simply isn't the case. And so we want to go into this process. And what we really want to do is change our method of reference, our reference guide, so that we can make better decisions and be less pulled by our emotions and what the media or arbitrary third parties tell us to do. So thank you for joining me for this video. If you're new to the channel, my name is Eric and I'm the owner and head financial planner at Peak Financial Planning. And our goal working with clients all across the country is to help ensure that your money outlives you by making sound financial decisions as you lead up to your retirement. So in a couple seconds here, we're going to talk about how you measure financial plan performance. And I'm going to break it down in great detail in the way that we do it at Peak Financial Planning. But if you like videos like this and you find them helpful, please give this video a like on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, share this video with somebody who is in a similar position or could benefit from this knowledge. And thank you as always for your time and attention in watching these videos. And so without further ado, let's jump into how you measure financial plan success. Measuring financial plan success is all about tracking the right things. I personally believe that the media and all this noise that is coming to us is distracting us from what's important when we're measuring financial plan success. I am cynical and I believe that it's done intentionally to keep consumers confused, delegating their power and authority to big brokerage companies and banks and fancy finance institutions. You can see that as a through line in most of my videos. The things that I find important to track when it comes to financial plan success are, number one, your spending, your rate of spending. We have to know how much you're spending because that's going to dictate, number two, your savings rate. Now, if you're close to retirement or in retirement, savings rate won't matter as much, but spending still matters because your spending is what your retirement is sensitive to. If you overspend, you may need to draw more portfolio income, which means you shorten the lifespan of your portfolio. If you're in your accumulating years, if you overspend, you'll have less savable dollars to allocate towards funding goals, and you will arrive at your destination short of the funds you require in order to survive that. The next item we want to track is what's called your annual required portfolio income. So I've done plenty of other videos that talk about how to calculate your required portfolio income. I won't go in detail today, but your portfolio income is only one component of your income sources in retirement. You'll have other things like Social Security or pensions and annuities, and your portfolio income is going to be what you need to supplement those other income sources in order to keep your standard of living. Now, we can estimate and have a pretty good idea of what your annual portfolio income requirement will be in retirement. We can do that by estimating expenses. And again, you should watch the other videos on my channel to find that out. But we want to track that over time because your plan is going to be sensitive to spending. If your portfolio income or your required portfolio income dramatically shoots up because you're overspending and you don't have enough other income to support it, well, you're again reducing the longevity of your assets and introducing more risk into your retirement plan. The third item we want to track are your tax rates and the tax consequences of distributions from your portfolio. Those are going to have a huge impact on the amount of money or your net income, because everything you draw from a tax deferred account or a taxable account will have some kind of tax consequence. And you need to calculate your livable money based on what you have left over after taxes. So a mistake on tax rate estimates will cause a reduction in your actual income to yourself. So we want to track your tax rate over time and know, is it going to go up 1 year, go down 1 year? And therefore, how much additional portfolio income do we need to take to compensate for what's being lost as a result of tax? Continuing to build on that, the next item is your plan required rate of return. So your assets will be invested in a particular way, and you can invest them with different levels of risk, or you can just close your eyes and pray and throw some darts in the dark, and that is up to you. But financial planning done well will tell us if we're saving this amount of money, if we're spending this amount of money, here's how much we need to invest, And here's the rate of return we require in order to meet our future spending goals. The plan will back that out. Then we can invest aligned with our plan required rate of return, which is very important because most of us just invest without any idea of what the plan requires. And therefore we might be taking on way more risk than is required or way too little risk than is required, meaning we will arrive at our destination with either too much probability that the plan will blow up due to the risk level or too high a probability that we're just short of funds because we were way too conservative with our investments. And so we want to track that required rate of return, the plan required rate of return over time. The last item we want to track is our investment rate of return. That's our actual personal investment rate of return. And what we want to do is compare that over time to our required rate of return as dictated by our financial plan. So to quickly summarize the 5 different metrics that I recommend tracking, your first is your spending and savings rate. Those go hand in hand. The second is your required portfolio distribution or required portfolio income each year. The third is your tax rate. The fourth is your plan required rate of return. And the fifth is your actual investment rate of return on your personal portfolio. So let's quickly go through each of these. I want to give an example of what the metric tells us and then what the if then or the action that should be taken is if we are not meeting our goals or meeting our expectations for each of those metrics. So first with savings rate, and we've kind of alluded to this earlier in the video, but if you are overspending and you are pre-retirement, you will end up undersaving. And if you undersave, you will wake up at retirement without enough funds to sufficiently cover your spending in retirement. And the problem is you won't have enough runway or time to adapt and accommodate that. So tracking your spending and therefore your savings rate while you're still in that accumulation phase will allow you to adjust course on a shorter feedback loop so that you can save more and spend less if that's what the plan requires for you to fund your future goals. The second item here, which is your portfolio required income, your annual required income from your portfolio, is just the inverse of that. It just, if you're no longer saving, but you're in your retirement and you're actually spending out of your portfolio assets, knowing how much you're going to spend each year from portfolio assets, and then knowing if you're overspending, which results or translates into you drawing more than is planned for from your portfolio, will be very important, because if you're overspending and therefore overdrawing, you will end up depleting your portfolio assets quicker than the plan expects, and therefore increasing the likelihood that the plan blows up or you run out of money while still alive. The only way you can adjust for that is if you actually track your spending and track the portfolio distributions and make sure they're aligned and consistent with the plan's expectation of how much you need to draw each year so that you don't run out of money while alive. Item number 3, which is tax rates. Pretty straightforward. If you underestimate your tax rates and you end up in a higher tax bracket, you're going to have less net income and you're going to need to take a larger portfolio distribution because you'll need to still live on the same amount of money. And what's important to you is your spendable dollars, not your gross income, not the total income that you get before taxes. It's really all that you have that remains after taxes. So if you underestimate your tax rate, you will end up needing to take more money, which again decreases the longevity of your portfolio and increases the probability that the plan blows up. The fourth item is your plan required rate of return. The reason to track that is your plan will spit you back out a target investment rate of return. If you end up undersaving and overspending and taking too much in distributions, your plan will actually in real time recalculate your required rate of return. And if you're not tracking that and paying attention to that, you might leave your investments static without changing them or adjusting the investment mix, and then end up, again, if you keep your eyes closed, at some future point, having said, oh shoot, my plan told me I should have changed my rate of return target, but I didn't, and now I've undershot it. We need to track that plan required rate of return so that we can make the changes to our portfolio that are required if we need to seek higher rates of return, or if we're doing a great job of spending, we can lower our actual required rate of return or our investment rate of return because we're doing a great job of being great savers. The final item to track here is your portfolio rate of return. That's your actual investment rate of return. And then we, obviously this goes without saying, should be tracking this on a regular basis and then comparing it to our benchmark, which is our plan required rate of return. If our investment rate of return vastly undershoots or underperforms our plan's required rate of return, we will end up underfunded in retirement. The opposite is also true. If our investment rate of return is way outperforming, we might be taking on a lot more risk than is actually necessary. I like to tell clients this all the time. You only need to take on as much risk as required in order to make your plan work. And if for you, that means that you only need a 5% rate of return in order to make your plan work because you're such a great saver, well, you don't need to take on more risk by searching for 6 or 7 or 8% rates of return. That doesn't mean you shouldn't go for higher rates of return if you prefer that, but you should understand the trade-offs and start by benchmarking to that rate of return as a floor, and then tell yourself, is it worth it? Or how much of my money should I use for higher rates of return so I don't risk the whole plan blowing up by being greedy and grabbing for too much. Now, conversely, a lot of the time we end up overspending, and the only dial we can tune is increasing our risk level to hope for higher rates of return because we're poor savers. And so we have to also factor that into the calculus. Earlier in this video, we talked a little bit about how comparison is the enemy of contentment. I want to address that a little bit here. We've talked about all the different things to track and why I recommend tracking them. The issue here is if we track our performance, our investment performance, or our financial plan performance by using arbitrary third-party metrics like a random S&P 500 index return or the NASDAQ or some other person outside who is not important in our world, well, we'll never be happy. And we also might be pulled into making emotional or psychological bad decisions that blow our plan up. So having internal reference points or benchmarks is really the route to our success here. This would be similar to comparing our physical appearance to a random underwear model or a swimsuit model. I mean, no one's happy if they look at their own body and say, man, I should look like that swimsuit model. It's just not a good way to live our lives, nor is it honest and accurate to the reality. You're not trying to be a swimsuit model. Why should you compare to them? I find that to be the same as saying, hey, my portfolio is underperforming the S&P 500 right now. Well, it's not material. It doesn't make any sense. Your portfolio might be invested 60% in equities and 40% in bonds. Why would you compare that rate of return to the S&P 500? That's the whole root of this video is find things to compare to that are helpful because they're about you comparing to you. And then they also allow you to change your own behaviors. And you know that by making those comparisons and tracking them over time. Another thing to understand is why do I suggest measuring all these metrics and measuring them separately? The answer is if we only use one of these metrics, we wouldn't have enough data to actually tell us if the metric we measured is accurate. We might look only at our investment rate of return and make the wrong conclusion. If we don't have a benchmark against which to reference it, specifically our required rate of return from our plan, well, we don't know if we're succeeding if our investments are getting a 7% rate of return. That's just some random number that tells us nothing about where we'll end up in the future and if that's sufficient for our needs. Having multiple metrics to track gives us faster feedback loops so we can adjust course on a shorter time frame if we're not meeting the goals that we set for ourselves, meaning we have less likelihood of waking up 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now than being surprised that things aren't working out. So to wrap things up here, measuring financial plan success is a really, really important part of this process. We shouldn't be embarking on a financial journey without having some kind of benchmarks or references to tell us if we're succeeding or not. We want common understood ones that are clear so that they can tell us on short timeframes if we're on the path to success. And if we're not, we want to know based on each of those metrics, what are the behaviors that we would need to change in order to accommodate for that failure. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have questions about any of the topics that were talked about in this video or just have other questions or that you'd like answered, please feel free to leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to address them. If you like this video and you think this could benefit other people, please give it a like on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, share it with other people who might benefit from this video. If you want to watch other videos on a similar vein, on the retirement planning, financial independence topic, I have many, many more videos on my YouTube channel at Peak Financial Planning. You can also find more information about my business at www.thepeakfp.com. That's our website. And if you'd like to schedule a free consultation to learn more about what the process is of working with us, you can do so in the link in the description to this video below. As always, thank you so much for your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next video.